Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys.
How is it going? Welcome to the long-awaited season 2, part 2, or season 2, episode 2.
Something like
of
that.
Unraveled with Matt and Lisa Ritter. Thank you guys for being just faithful and checking us out every once in a while and commenting, chiming in, letting us know how the things we say, what we talk about, is affecting you, your family, and we appreciate all that awesome feedback, helping us just kind of continue to do each show each and every week.
It hasn't been each and every week. We've been really bad at this.
In the past, yes. But just each and every show just to help us continue to move forward, knowing that whatever things we're talking about, whether it's family or church or work, whatever it may be, is something y'all are dealing with. And that's why we're doing this. We're just unraveling life as a husband and wife, as parents, as ministry workers, as marketplace workers, whatever you want to call us. When we do it all.
We're just normal people.
We are multi-purpose people.
We're just normal people sharing our thoughts with you. But thanks for joining us. It has been quite a while.
Yes.
Last time we were on the road, and you guys got to join us literally on the road, and that was really fun. We had a great trip. I know I did post some pictures. If you follow my personal Facebook, I posted a lot of pictures, but we had a really great time. And it is something that, again, I know we encouraged you guys to take a trip with one another and to just get out and hit the road. And I still hold strong to that.
Yeah, that's one of our, like I said, and I think we said it in the show, it's just one of our favorite things to do is just to get together on the road and have some us time and travel time, see the world. Well, see the world from America.
See America.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun for us, and hope that that's something encouraging for you, husbands and wives out there, even as a family. Sometimes, if you like just throwing the kids in the car and heading somewhere, it is a lot of fun. It makes a lot of great memories. Those are things I think that remain best with us in life. Not the stuff, not the clothes, the cars, the money, the houses, the boats, the toys and whatever else.
Yeah, none of
that's not the stuff that matters. It's the memories that we make together as family. That's what we're all about. That's what we tried to be all about for sure as a family. It's been very important to us in these last number of years to just be very intentional with that because we do now have a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, and an almost 15-year-old. And
that's so weird.
They're growing up. They're growing up. And I was just talking. Actually, I didn't tell you this, but I was just talking to my buddy at work about how we're not far from being empty nesters, if you think about it.
Let's go.
So,
we just kidding.
Yeah. There is bittersweetness in that kind of a saying because it's down to just you and I again. Yeah. It's something we haven't.
Good thing I like you a lot.
Yeah, I like you pretty much too. So,
well, and even like when we were talking about road trips and the memories that we make with our kids, that we're even seeing that with our 19-year-old. Yeah. Now she's doing that with her friends and making memories and loading up in the car, even if they're just literally driving to a gas station. And that just happened. Yeah. So they drove like an hour plus just to go to Buc-ee's. And if you know, then you know the importance of Buc-ee's. Don't even shake your head.
Argued against
Don't even shake your head because Buc-ee's is a whole thing, and
it is. I mean, it's a
amazing.
City. It's a city in its own. It's like the Walmart of gas stations.
Yeah.
Everything you want and need inside there. Cool stuff for sure.
True.
But I know most of the time we go, we're just getting snacks and some gas maybe.
Yeah.
So
I normally come home with some piece of clothing or jewelry or. Something for our house too, because that's all there. I mean, it's literally all there. It's
shirt or
pretty
hat
exciting.
Or something with a beaver on it. Yeah,
it is true.
Bucky the Beaver.
So, if you know, that was something really strange to us when we moved here. Was that gas stations were like a really great place to stop in Texas.
Yeah, I mean it's
some of the best food.
I mean,
at a gas
we grew
station.
up. Obviously, if you're our California friends or our more of our Western friends, we grew up with Love's. Stuckey's, Flying J, those kind of cool gas stations.
Those were truck stops.
I know they're truck stops, but when you're a kid, it's like, oh, it's so cool. It's just there's a McDonald's in one, or there's a Subway in one, and then there's bathrooms, and there's all kinds of cool trucker stuff you can look at if you like, and there's things in glass cases that are ridiculously overpriced, and it was just a cool place.
Yeah, but not at Buc-ee's. Everything is amazing.
It's amazing, but it's not cheap. I'm going to put that out there.
All right, so we totally digressed.
They're rolling in the money. We're absolutely not talking about road tripping today. So.
All right, but what we are going to talk to you guys about,
take us down a few notches now.
Is we are going to get really serious here.
Yes.
In all honesty, we are cracking some jokes right now, but we are going to get real serious, and we are going to talk to you guys about why we left the church. And that right there, that statement right there, I'm sure caught a pause. We have left the church. We are not, neither one of us are in ministry at a church at this time. And that, if you have known us for any length of time, honestly, since I was 18 and you about the same, we've been in full-time ministry, or at least mostly
very part-time.
And so we've always been involved in a church somewhere in the last, long time. We won't worry about the fact that is a very long time. Many, many, many decades.
Yeah, I mean, we've been married 22 and a half years, and pretty much since even before marriage, her and I were youth pastoring in San Jose, and we got married and kind of just
kept going.
Yeah, went right back from Bakersfield back to San Jose to jump back into music ministry, and it's been our life, and this is just one of those candid moments, candid conversations we're going to have today that we kind of just, there's no agenda, no plan,
there's no script. We have
no
notes.
I don't have my MacBook in
us.
front of me like I normally do. To pull up things I'm thinking about. I can't even look on my phone because that's what's recording us. So it's just a real raw, honest look at where we're at today and what's happened with us and how we are navigating stepping out of church ministry for a while. Not to say we're never going back.
Right.
We do want to be a part of a church, and we do want to have that community, not just for us, but for our kids as well. But as far as, employment or being on a staff with a church right now, we're free
agents.
We're free agents. That's right.
That's what I tell people. Right. We're free agents right
now.
Weighing
out our options, looking at contracts coming in, all that kind of stuff.
But really, there's a lot that led up to that. And we're going to kind of dive in through some of that. We are going to be really careful as we do that. And I want to just set that precedence right up front. As we go through this, some of you may have questions about things that we say. Please message us, email us, call us, text us. You know how to reach us. So get a hold of us if you have questions. But the bigger thing about all of this as we go through this is we're going to obviously hit on some church hurts. We're going to hit on some things that we've learned along the way and the reasons why we're not doing it at this moment. But the bigger thing with me and my heart, and I know for you as well, is that we protect the name of Jesus. Yeah. And so first and foremost, we love God. We love Jesus. We have no desire whatsoever to stop sharing his name and to stop ministering in general. So I want to get that up right in front, that we are not angry with God at all. And so more than anything, I hope and pray that the things that we share through this, again, there's no script, so we're going to be flying by the seat of our pants as we go through this. But more than anything, that you guys hear our hearts and that you really know that our hearts, we love Christ and nothing is changing in that aspect. So, all right, here we go. So we've been in ministry a long time. And the reason we left our most recent positions had a lot more to do with where we were at spiritually versus where the church was at spiritually, and what we believe we were specifically called to do versus what we were doing in those roles. So I want to be really clear with that this was a personal thing that we were dealing with in our own hearts and in our own walks with Christ. And we just weren't in alignment with the process of what was happening at that church. So
that's the process and the philosophy.
Correct.
We aligned well with the vision and what the vision was all about, because we love people, we love we want to love on hurting people. We want to see people healed from all the junk in life that just messes us up, gets us addicted to drugs, alcohol, pornography, all that kind of stuff in the world. The stuff that just really beats us up, and we want to see people healed. That's our goal. I know that was the church's goal. And so, I think ultimately it just kind of comes to more of how that plays out.
Yes.
The philosophy of how the ministry, of taking people into healing, how that looks and how that plays out, between what we believe and how that should happen and how the church believes that should happen. Right. And
so that's where we are on that, and that's why we are where we are now. So just to kind of let you know what we're doing currently, I am still working for North Shore Christian Academy. I am helping with all of that, directing that. I'm an executive director there. I partner with Becky Ming, which is fantastic, and we're just loving on a bunch of kids over there and teaching them about Jesus, as well as just taking them through that educational transition in their life from we start at 6 weeks old and we go up to first grade, and so it's a lot of fun. We have a much larger staff than we've ever had before, and we have a lot of kids, and so we get to pour into a lot of kids and a lot of families, and it's amazing. So that's what I do every day. I do ministry every day, and that's why I said we're still doing ministry, just not in the church setting. And so I get to share Jesus with these kids every day, and it's a lot of fun. So that's what I'm doing right now.
That's a lot of kids. Bless you for that.
It is a lot of kids. I think we have like 105 or something now.
Right.
And
I get to see her for about 2 or 3 hours a night.
It's true. I'm working like 12 to 14-hour days most days, and it's a lot of work. And we've just built a building. And if you were part of that process, thank you for those of you who helped to make that happen and who contributed financially or just came and even swept a floor. Thank you for that. We built a school in 5.5 months, and I feel like that's a whole different topic we could go into for a while on the miracles that we saw God pull off in this town, and that was incredible. But that's what I am doing on a daily basis. Right. And occasionally home. Yeah. Rarely.
Well, as for me, I mean, I'm in a new realm, jumping back into the workforce. I'm a pool guy.
About to go, wow.
Matt the pool guy.
Get it.
Only her pool guy if you're gonna make that noise.
100%. Only my pool boy.
Pool boy. Yeah. Pool man. It's something I've had a little bit of familiarity with, having pools in the past at our houses, and so I do understand the process. It's a new process for me, learning the chemistry side of it and what that looks like. I realize, how can I bluntly say this? I'm really dumb. I'm really dumb.
No.
Scholastically, it's reminding me of going back to school and I'm having to take these online classes about pool chemistry and what that looks like, and pH and alkalinity and all that fun stuff. And half the time I'm just staring at the screen. My eyes are crossing because some of it's just a little over my head.
Enhancing your knowledge.
Yes, absolutely, we'll go with that. We will say that. So yeah, I'm working for a great company here in Austin called ABC Home and Commercial. Just a good, awesome family-owned group, and just thankful for them to taking that chance on me. So yeah,
I mean, we were already sold into them. They were pest control for our home, and so now here you are, which is quite the turn of events.
Yes.
And you get to be outside, and right now really Texas has been really nice.
Yeah, it's been hot training a little bit the last couple of weeks, but we're finally cooling down to the mid 80s. It's October, mid 80s in Texas.
It means it's like jacket weather here, basically.
Yeah. Once we get below 90, we start busting out the parkas and the sweatshirts and hoodies and all that stuff. So
you're not wrong.
Yeah, well, I know you do. So
I did have a sweater on yesterday, and it was amazing. I'm not going to complain at all. It was fantastic to need a sweater.
So that's where we're at currently. Not a lot of change for you. Something you've been doing for the last couple of years with the school. But for me, stepping away from full-time ministry is the reason we came to Texas. We came here. I took a family minister position. We did awesome things with the youth group here in Lago, and 100 crazy, insane kids a week. Just having a blast with that. Then moving up to lead pastor, and then things getting a little hairy there. So we stepped out into a new church where we were just recently at. And so that's leading us back into what we were talking about earlier with different philosophy and how that works. That's kind of where we're going to take this, in the next, 20, 30 minutes, who knows. But again, we're not here to bash.
Nope.
We're not here to cut down the name of any church, of any leaders, of any people whatsoever. I know I left on a good note, but there were hardships along the way that really, to be honest, made me feel very invaluable, very insignificant, not entrusted. That it just felt like a lot of decisions I wanted to make in certain positions didn't align with what the ones who hired me to take that position wanted for that position itself. And so there's still some healing that's got to happen, and I think anytime you do leave a church, a lot of times a lot of people will say, God's calling us to a new position, or he's calling us to a new place. I think a lot of times there can be a catalyst for that, though, which unfortunately at times can be something that we don't agree with, or something that's ugly that we don't like, some things that don't align with our philosophy of ministry or how we do life as pastors. So just to be as bluntly honest as possible, that's how it was. I'm still friends with everybody that we with the staff that we stepped out of. But again, being in a place where you just don't feel entrusted or empowered to be a pastor, to do things that are on your heart, that are in your realm of giftings, that can really just kind of suck the passion
100%.
And joy out of everything. And to be honest, I feel like for the last couple months there, I was just really in a very, very, very melancholy place. I wasn't happy, had no joy in my life, and what I was doing was just doing something because it was a position to fill, and of course takes care of my family, pays the bills, and I think in a lot of ways that's kind of just what I held on to the most, unfortunately. But I think anybody that's been in ministry for a long time knows that when you are stepping in for the wrong reasons, when you're holding on for the wrong reasons of just for a paycheck, or just trying to take care of the family, or just because you don't want to ruffle feathers or anything like that, it really can weigh on you. It can really
Absolutely.
Mess you up mentally, spiritually, emotionally, even physically. Just bad nights of sleeping, coming into work, feeling just very drained already before the day even started, driving through traffic and commuting, and just finding myself in a very angry, impatient place. My wife knows me. I'm not a patient driver. No comments there. I'm not a patient driver, and I have my moments when I'm driving where things just can really get to me. But to have that happening every day, just waiting for the worst and looking for the worst and expecting the worst each and every day as I get in my truck and drive to work, and just knowing that I'm going somewhere that I don't really have a passion for, that can kill you spiritually. That can kill you emotionally. That can kill you mentally. And I think over time could probably kill you physically. Yeah. If it just wears on your body and wears on your mind and your heart and your blood pressure and cholesterol, because in some ways you're looking for ways to come home and feel better and feel numb, in a lot of ways to numb the stuff you're going through. So that might be alcohol, that might be food. I have always been a food lover, and man, that's been something for me that's been a struggle too, because I will look to food as a crutch in some ways to make me feel a little bit better when I'm not happy. And so hence the no longer having a nice jawline, and I don't have.
I still think
Justin
you're very
Timberlake,
handsome.
Timberlake
Please
jawline.
don't ever look like Justin
I know,
Timberlake.
but he's a good-looking dude. Come on, he's got a nice jawline. I don't have that anymore. It disappeared.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So my chin has become my neck, and so just I add all the hair now here to keep it covered. But I put on weight, and that's just not a place I want to be. I don't want to be that kind of person. I know most of all, more than anything, I don't want my family to reap that negativity in my life, to come home and just sit on the couch for a couple hours till I go to sleep, or just come home grumpy or angry and take that anger out on you or our kids. And there were days we did that. You know, you did that. I did that. You did a lot more than I did, but I get it.
Please.
No, we both had our days, and we both had our moments
absolutely.
where, you know, you come home screaming and yelling, and I'm like, what the heck did I do to you? Okay. And that, once it finally calms down, there's the conversation of, I know it wasn't you. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be angry. And so, you know, we're good at that. We're good at talking things out after, you know, the steam has risen through the roof and made its way out. But, even to try to figure out where I'm going with that conversation, I don't want to be that person. I didn't want to be that person who was giving my family my leftovers. And when I say leftovers, I mean like one last little piece, you know, of any goodness that I have in my heart or in my life at each and every day. And that's what was happening. And coming home from a place where I just didn't feel like I was being empowered or entrusted to make decisions for my ministry or to have vision for my ministries, that's where it got tough for me.
Yeah.
And so when you say we've stepped out of ministry, again, that's where we're at. And I don't think as Christians we really ever step out of ministry, because if we are truly Christ followers and we hang on to that Great Commission, we are always in ministry. We are always in a place, looking for places to tell people about Christ. That's what we were called to do. That's what we were created to do when we said, I'm going to be a disciple of Jesus. I'm going to be a follower of Jesus. And this is what I'm going to do. And that's what we do. We share our faith. We get people to come to know Jesus. That's still our job, no matter whether we work in a church or whether we flip burgers at McDonald's or we are skimming pools, whatever that is. We are always called to be like Jesus. And that's still, excuse me, that's still our biggest goal. I'm talking a lot here, more than I usually do, so my throat's getting a little dry. But anyways,
I'll help you out. Here's some water
thanks.
for you. Well, and I think it's really hard
brought to you by Stanley.
When you have a sphere of influence around you and you get the ability to influence those people that you come in contact with, but when your passion has been depleted and you just feel so insignificant, it's very hard to have influence over anyone, because you feel so lost. And you are empty. And so that's kind of really where we were in a lot of ways. And so with that being said, because you shared a lot and you've been very transparent, I'm really proud of you for that. This was definitely something that was hard for us as we navigated through that. And, you know, you brought up our children a lot, and that was probably one of our biggest things. As a matter of fact, our daughter Ava, we told her we were going to do a podcast and we had to talk about her. So we are going to talk about our kids for just a minute. But the reason why I want to do that is because if you are in ministry and you have a family, then you know how everything that happens away from your home and in your home, because you are never off the clock when you are a pastor, that it impacts your children. And we were seeing the weight of this impacting our kids as well. And our kids had come out of a very hard season prior to this one. So when we moved here to Texas, as you mentioned, we came here for a job. And so we came here for that, and we were there for 4 years. 4 years.
Just over 4 years.
Just over 4 years. And that started off as something that was incredible for our children, something that our kids really plugged into. They felt ownership in. And I think that word right there you're going to hear a lot of that from me right now, because having ownership in what you're doing gives you passion. And when you don't have ownership, or when you have leadership who is very, very controlling over that, it's very hard for you to be able to move forward in the ways that God's called you to move forward in. And so with our children, when we first came in, there was a lot of ownership in that, and they got to really experience just so much. They got to be part of starting ministries. They got to be part of things like painting walls. They got to be part of decorating, and they got to be part of riding skateboards in the church. They got to be part of building things that didn't exist. And that was something that created passion even in our own children. It led us to see our oldest daughter lead worship, which we had never seen before. Right. And our middle daughter, Emma, joined in with her. And so we got to watch both of them on stage leading their peers in worship along with you. You were up there leading, and some other kids that we just love. And so we got to watch them have ownership in and then watch that translate to passion. And so we saw all of those things. And then we saw the crumble. And we saw how our kids were hurt by the people in the church and how the things that they said and they did impacted them, how their passion began to be ripped away from them simply by words. And that began to impact us. And that began to impact, there were so many other things that were already impacting us, but like that clincher as parents was watching our kids' faith be shaken because of people. And, I think I've said this on one of our podcasts before. One of my pastors that I grew up with always said, that the church is not bad, that it is just filled with, challenging people. And so it's not the church, it's the people, and we have to remember that. And the church was never designed to hurt people, but people hurt people. Yeah. And so that's what we have seen, and that's what we've been part of, and that's what we really want to stand up against, if I'm being that honest, is that we're in a place right now, after all that we have experienced, that we want to stand up against the people hurting people. It's going to happen. Church hurts are always going to happen. There's no way that we're ever going to be able to get around them or away from them. We have hurt people. People have hurt us. That is just, unfortunately, the nature of the beast. However, the problem we see is that as the church has evolved over time, as it has tried to bend to meet the needs of people, it's bent to a place that I don't really know if it can be reshapen.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Today's church is not the church we read about in Corinthians.
100%.
When Paul said, here's how I want to look like Titus, all these, different examples in the Bible that talk about what the church is supposed to look like. It's very far from that, because I believe, to be frankly honest, now I don't want to say all churches, because I know there's still some that have been holding on to their traditional Christian values, holding strongly to what the Bible still says, not just here in our town, but back home in California. Many churches that we've been a part of, I know, are still very strong in their faith, and I just believe that culture has been so influential in the church, which is kind of the antithesis of what we are shooting for as Christians and as the church itself. We want a faith and a church that influences culture, not the other way around. And that's what's happened. We've bent so much to not offend or not, to provide a place where people are almost just entertained for an hour instead 100%. Of challenged, instead of discipled, instead of walking out of a place knowing that they are stronger in their walk, stronger in their faith, and instead they've just been kind of entertained with almost a concert style worship. I don't want to call it a worship experience, because to me worship is all about our focus and our hearts being poured out to God, not about what He's going to do for us, not about us sitting there in the presence of God saying, do this for me, God, give me this, singing more songs about give me, bless me, do things for me. Our worship needs to be pure in a sense that, it's that we release all that self-centeredness, we release all that selfishness, and we just tell God how great He is through our songs. We sing about how good God is through our songs. And I'm not a fan at all, I never really have been, of a style that just where people more or less are just kind of watching the singer sing on stage, and it's just a phenomenal. I don't want to go against people's talents and gifts as musicians, as vocalists, but there's awesome musicians, awesome vocalists in the world, hands down, some of the best I've ever got to meet. But when that's leading our worship, when I always said, as a worship leader, your job is to take people in the presence of God. That's yes. what it is. But when we try to lead people somewhere they can't go, then we've lost that element of worship. And we're trying to lead people, and we're doing things vocally that people can't follow, and it just pulls them out of that focus of the Spirit of God at that moment, to where they're now watching the singers, they're now clapping for the singers when the song's over. Man, we've missed the mark. We missed the mark on worship. And so when I say like culture defining church these days, that's kind of what it looks like to me. And man, we don't talk about sin anymore. We don't talk about hell anymore. We're not providing the really strong opportunities for people to be discipled, through means of, diving into God's word and having them understand, or have a strong grasp and understanding of what Christianity really is and what church really should look like, and who you're called to be personally as a Christian. And those are the things that bring about the strongest and most powerful life change. And we remove all that, in a sense, to just say, we don't want to offend you. We want this to be a sensitive moment for the people who are coming in. That's where it gets concerning. That's where that culture comes in and says, we're just going to make the lights cooler. All the flashing lights are going to be cooler.
We'll turn up some smoke.
We're going to have all kinds of TV screens, or millions of dollars of technology on our stage, flashing lights and smoke and all that. I probably sound like an old guy. I know I am. I sound like an old dude up here, but I've been at church my whole life. I mean, from birth till now, and I've seen it all. I've experienced about every type of church service that I believe I can, from very traditional to very, very modern. And I don't like where it is. I don't like where it's going. And that's, again, part of the reason why I stepped out of where I was at, and you as well, and how we're just in a place now that, as a husband and wife and as a family, we want to take our kids and our family to a place that's just simple. We want the simplicity of God's word and Christ-centered worship, not me-centered worship, not us-centered worship, but Christ-centered worship, where we're all singing in the same room, where we're not, trying to follow some person who has a ridiculously phenomenal voice, which, again, you kind of want that up front, whoever's leading the songs.
You don't want me leading worship.
Well, yeah. No. Okay. But gosh, I recall just days of growing up in a church I grew up in as a kid. It was kind of just before the idea of worship leaders became a thing. Each Sunday, our pastor would pick some of the people that could sing in the church and have them pick 3 or 4 songs that they liked, and they'd get up on stage and they'd lead the church. And you want to talk about 300-400 people singing at the same time, what that sounds like and what that looks like when you have that many people lifting up the name of Jesus at one moment. That's what it's all about. That's worship to me.
I agree with you.
And why that changed, I don't know. Why we just are in a place now where we're just watching people on stage with all kinds of smoke and lights around them, just trying to make it such a cooler place so more people will come. I don't know. That's not the church God created. That's not the church, the biblical church that Paul talked about. If we're talking just my opinion here, so, man, again, why we've stepped out, why we've stepped away, and we had an awesome opportunity today to go to if we just want to put it out there, my homeboy Mario started an awesome thing called Gathering in Austin. And man, just all of us sitting in a back banquet room of
on picnic
of
table,
coffee and brewery on picnic tables, singing a couple songs, and that we all knew. Everybody knew them, and just a great message.
There was just no production. Yeah. It was just a guitar. It was
2 speakers and a microphone.
We got 2 speakers and a microphone.
No turntables and a microphone.
But the thing that was amazing about this, I think, is because of where we are in our walks and where we are spiritually, it was exactly what we needed. We needed to be in a place that was not focused on the lights and the cameras, and are we going to be able to make sure that we, televise this correctly or record this correctly
or fit every time slot perfectly and all
and
that
it
stuff.
wasn't like that at all. It was, here is what God has put on my heart. Here is what I feel I need to share with you, which was phenomenal. And when we left, we had Ava with us. So we had our youngest daughter with us. And I think my takeaway from this was I enjoyed it personally. I know you enjoyed it personally, but hearing Ava, as I mentioned, our kids and the impact that this has had on our children, our kids are really struggling with wanting to go to church because they see people for what they are and how they are, and they are extremely skeptical. They have seen the good and the bad and the ugly as being pastors' kids. And so when we left, Ava said, he had said something that really struck a chord with her. And she said, my favorite part about being there was that he said it wasn't about who was there and it wasn't about the numbers or the money. It was just that he was glad we were there. And that was so amazing to me, but also it grabbed my heart in such a way that she saw the simplicity of that. And it wasn't about just marking you down as another number. Okay, we hit the 500 mark or we hit the 1,000 mark. It wasn't about that. It was, we are just glad you are here. And that's one of the things that I think we're missing in the church, is that we're so focused on what can we do to get people in the door that we forget about the importance of the value of one. And how God left the 99 for the one. And Ava felt that today. She felt that importance of being the one. And that's just something that we miss. We forget. We have gone so far away from what God's word has said about the church and who the church should be that we're missing the most important things that even a 15-year-old nearly can see, and that she can pick that out at, like I said, almost 15, and notice that how special that is, means everything to me as a mom, that she's wise enough in her very young age to be able to see that. And if you are part of a church that doesn't find the value in the one person, and they aren't feeling connected and special and wanted, then maybe it's your call to be that person that helps them feel that way. Maybe you've been gifted with that ability, or maybe you're in a place that you need to reconsider, and really be in a place that God has called you to be in. And so that was something that really was eye-opening to me today, to hear from our daughter.
I just think to look over, she was sitting between Lisa and I, and just to look over and see her engaged and see her smiling and laughing and really listening. I love that, because I remember, moments of our kids walking out of service and handing me, the welcome cards or the whatever you call those things. And they're scribbled all over. They're drawn all over. Because it just wasn't.
Look at how many boxes I made.
Right. It just wasn't a place where they felt challenged, or they felt like they were engaging in any moment. And just to see her do that today, and to see her eyes up there the whole time and smiling, and
no notes, no scribbling on a piece of paper, nothing.
And I'm just thankful for that breath of fresh air today. And to be honest, I stepped out. August 31st was my last day, and I honestly haven't been in a church since then. We went once because of a baby dedication here at a local church, and that's all. And it wasn't just because I want to go to church and be blessed today, or get to know God more or be challenged. It was more so just I want to be there to support the family that that's part of your school. And so, as great intentions as that is, for me as a person, for us as a family, wasn't a great place to be in. And so for us to say, get up today and say, or last night and say, we're going to get up tomorrow, make a choice to get up and go to church. I have a hard time calling it church, because it just was so not like church.
Yeah, I agree
that
with
I've
you.
been to in a while. Just felt like a bunch of friends in a room eating, breakfast tacos and drinking coffee from the restaurant that we're in, and literally waitresses coming in while we're singing our songs and starting, and it was just a neat experience. And just to feel like, if something he says challenges us, we can make a little comment and not feel like weird, like we're standing out, anything like that either. It just felt like just a group of friends hanging out, and just like I said, just gathering together. And I love the heart of that. I love the passion behind that, and just praying for great things to happen with Mario and what he's doing through that ministry. So shout out to Mario, to ATX
Mario.
Gathering. Love you guys, and just thank you for
letting
letting us hang out today.
We appreciate it, the environment as a whole, the way that your leadership just stepped in and loved people as
absolutely.
they are. I mean, it was
familiar faces.
It was familiar faces, and it was it was great. Thank you.
Right.
So
I only have one problem.
that.
I have one major problem.
Okay.
With it, that it's only once a month.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
fair enough.
You asked us to say what we think. There's our problem.
We're telling everyone in our podcast what we think.
Yeah,
but
it's only once a month.
It's only once a month, so that was a bummer.
We would love to do that more with you guys. So, anyways, just a great breath of fresh air today to worship together as a family and to feel like we are in a biblical church. We are in, one of the guys there, Mark, got up to talk about what the church looks like, and he read from Acts and how what it looked like for people gathering together, breaking bread together, and what a real church looks like. And man, it was 100% that, and it felt like that. It felt like that from the time we walked in to the time we walked out. And I think that's just a solid reminder, and even a challenge, I think, to a lot of churches out there, that, man, getting so caught up and so emotional and so angry and so crazy about production and all the stinking ins and outs and freaking things that have to go on each and every week to call it a good service. And if one little tiny thing goes wrong, somebody's getting in trouble, somebody's getting ripped, somebody's getting yelled at, behind stage, or somebody's getting told off or taken off a team because they messed up. I'm sick of this crap. I'm sick of this in church. I'm sick of people being hurt because they're not good enough. They're not talented enough to fit in one area of how perfect the church has to be. And that's not what the church is called to be. That's not what we want to sit there on stage and say, we're not a perfect church. We're just a church of imperfect people. Then don't be a liar. Don't be a liar and demand perfection out of everybody in every area of the church, because that's just crap. That is not what church is about. If we're going to be imperfect people, then let's be imperfect people in the presence of God, and not be spiritually killed because we missed a cue, or we missed a slide, or the technology went wrong, or something happened that was completely out of our control. And I'm done with it. That's why I'm done with church. I'm done with that stuff that is not important, that is completely unimportant to people's faith and growth and discipleship. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. And I think if we really love people, and we really say we want to see people healing from life's hurts, or we want to see people growing and stepping out and moving out, becoming ministers of Christ, we want to see that kind of stuff, then we really need to be doing what we're called to do.
Agreed.
And that's discipling. That's making people like Jesus. Be like Jesus, become like Jesus, become a disciple of Jesus. And that just takes us challenging people to learn the Bible more, to know the Bible more, to know what a Christian looks like, and to know what the Bible says about the church, and said, this is what the church needs to look like. And if we're not there, then
and knowing what God's called us to do and who he's called us to be, not through a candy-coated message. Because that's the other thing, is that we're giving, so many times in the church, we're giving these candy-coated messages of, hey, you do you, and it's okay if you were out drinking all night last night, but hey, glad you're here today. Hopefully you'll be back next week. And instead of challenging them to grow, to be better, to go to the next level, we are in a place in the church, and in a lot of churches, not all, that we just encourage that level of, hey, you do you, just show up on Sunday so we can check off that you were here. Let's make sure we hit those numbers that we're looking at. And we have lost sight of relationship. We've lost sight of what God's called us to do. We've lost sight of discipling people. We've lost sight of teaching people what their spiritual gifts are and how to use them so that they can minister to the body of Christ. We have forgotten that we are the church. The church isn't those four walls that you show up to on a Sunday, that we are the church, and that our job is to step out and to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. And so instead of the candy-coated, soft, gentle messages, we need to call it what it is. Here's the black and the white and the red of what God has said. And we need to be obedient to those things. And that is where it led us, was we knew in our hearts that we were not being obedient to who God had called us to be, what he had called us to do, and how he had called us to do it. And so that's where we said, okay, enough is enough. And it is more important to be obedient than to just collect a paycheck. Mm-hmm. And we would find the paycheck somewhere else. And that is why we are where we are right now. I do think, however, that this is probably going to be a two-part series. Oh, yeah. I think we probably should say, hey, let's pause here. And literally we could just pause and restart it. And then people can listen to the next part immediately if they want to. But that way we can still keep it in a fair time frame that we like to keep these in. Yeah. But I do think that we need to come back for a part 2 on what is the church, what has God called the church to be, and why we left it. And so I think we can come back to that and really just hit on that and get that passion and fire going in and have you continue to share that. But you got to stop hitting the table because my mic was bouncing.
That's probably going to show up on our audio.
It will. Yeah. You'll probably hear it.
I'll try to edit that out.
But let's pause here. Let's come back for part 2. And hey, if nothing else, at least you guys are getting extra podcasts from us right now. So there's that. Yeah. But I know we have a lot more to share on this, and I don't want to limit what God has taught us just because of time. So
I know, again, like I said earlier, we're not here to bash, and I know it's hard to talk about these things and not, quote unquote, be bashing a church or bashing leadership. And, as I hope everyone who watches and listens knows our hearts, mm-hmm. that, more than anything, like Lisa said, we want to uphold the name of Jesus in every situation. We may not disagree as a church, and as people and churches and all that kind of stuff. But the important thing at the end of the day is that, I know just with us as a couple, we're just trying to be more like Jesus.
Yeah.
And so again, our goal isn't to trash anybody or bring up names or even try to get in a place where we're anywhere close to that. Please know our hearts. But we've had a lot of questions asked, what's been going on with you guys? What happened? And for us to answer these questions in the best way we can, there is that brutal honesty that we do need to share in some ways. And that was even in Mario's message today, was we could just be like, we're fine. Yeah, we're good. No, it's good. And how that impacts our heart. And it also stops us from being able to grow. And it stops us from being who God's called us to be. So there's a point where we also have to be honest, and we also have to call it what it is, and stop hiding from, hey, we're fine, we're good, everything's great, when internally it's not. And we want to be honest with you guys on that and how we're overcoming that and where we're at as a whole. So come back for part 2. We'll see you in a bit. Yeah, well, thank you guys again for listening. And thanks for always checking in with us and seeing how we're doing. We're offering that same thing to you. If you have any questions, if you want to know anything, need prayer, anything like that, please let us know. Please reach out through our Facebook page or wherever it is you listen, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So we love you guys. Thanks for listening to Unraveled with Matt and Lisa.
We'll see you in part 2.